One thing's for sure, the Legacy of Kain series is really hard to follow. The original game is called Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. The sequel to that game was called Soul Reaver. Last year there was Soul Reaver 2, and now the fourth game in the series is called Blood Omen 2, and reverts back to the original game's storyline. That's right in the same ballpark as the Heretic series, where we had Heretic and then Hexen, and then Hexen 2, and then Heretic 2, so I don't know if these guys are all hanging out or something, but it's pretty confusing. That said, Blood Omen 2 itself is a pretty straightforward 3D action-adventure game. The game itself is about Kain, who's once a nobleman turned into a rather sinister vampire when he gets tricked, essentially, and now he's this sort of vengeful but very ambitious vampire who wants to rule the world. The game starts out where he awakens from centuries-old defeat and finds himself in a world that's very similar to what you'd find in the Thief games, actually. It's kind of filled with magic and yet filled with some primitive technology as well. And in this world, vampires are nearly extinct, so Kain joins with a small resistance force to try to bring vampires up to their rightful rulership. Kain's an interesting character because he really is evil. He's not just kind of cool evil, he's really kind of a heartless, sadistic murderer. You could go around killing pretty much anybody you find in the game indiscriminately. In fact, by killing any of the characters you find, you could suck their blood and restore your health and gain experience points. So if anything, the game encourages you just to go around slaughtering innocent people. Kain seems to really enjoy it. Sometimes he'll laugh as he's murdering someone. He'll beat them in the face with the pommel of his sword. He'll stab them through the stomach. He'll break their necks. All kinds of lovely things, and he seems to relish it, and it comes across in his character, who's arrogant and cold, and voiced by a guy who does a really excellent job of bringing the character to life.
Will you sour this reunion with old grudges? Granted, we parted on poor terms.
You tried to murder me?
I seem to have failed.
Every Legacy of Kain game originated on a video game system, and Blood Omen 2 is no exception. However, the PC version of the game actually came out very soon after its console counterparts. And surprisingly enough, it's the best version of the three. It's actually a very great port from a console game, at least from a technical standpoint. It's got a full mouse-driven interface, supports gamepad controls or mouse and keyboard controls, like what you'd find for other shooters. It looks really, really good. It has supports anti-aliasing and just visually is very slick, at least as good as the Xbox version and much, much better than the PlayStation 2 version. Unlike last year's Soul Reaver 2, Blood Omen 2 is mostly an action game. There's a lot of clawing and scratching and stabbing and stuff like that. With that said, the combat system isn't all that great. It's got some problems, mostly in the collision detection. You'll see your attacks blatantly pass through your enemies very often, and sometimes you can hit them while they're down, but other times you can't. Things like that will get kind of frustrating, and you'll also find that your enemies really don't help each other out at all. You could be holding one up off the ground by the neck, and the other one is just going to stand around and watch as you beat up on this guy. And the other thing is enemies follow very simple patterns. They'll use unblockable attacks every now and then, and you'll learn when these happen and be able to counter them pretty easily. Whenever Kain kills a foe, as mentioned, he'll have to suck his blood, or her blood, and that gives him experience and his health. And it's sort of an interesting effect as he telekinetically, projects the blood out of his victim. But you'll get really, really used to seeing this effect by the end of the game because you pretty much have to do it every single time. And later enemies have more blood than earlier enemies, so you'll be standing there sucking what seem like thousands of gallons of blood before the game is done. Besides the action, there's some puzzle solving in the game, but similar to the action, the puzzle solving is really quite basic and not that interesting. It's basically a lot of cranking wheels and throwing levers and opening locked doors and stuff like that. Kain does get a number of special abilities over the course of the game. To begin with, he could blend in with the mist to assassinate his victims.
Like he reads too much.
Oh, a swell, was he?
That's right. And he What do we have here?
He could also do these kind of long sailing jumps that can get him across rooftops and stuff like that. He gains a few combat techniques and even the ability to charm other characters and take them over. An interesting technique, it sounds like, but you'll only really use it to take over villagers and open locked doors again. Some of the textures are kind of blurry, but there's a lot of detail in the character models. You'll see their different facial expressions, and the levels themselves are actually quite big. There are 11 of these really long, sprawling levels in the game. It's surprising, I suppose, that every single Legacy of Kain game has appeared on the PC at one time or another. This one is probably the best from a technical standpoint. It looks really good. So while the gameplay isn't the best thing about it, Blood Omen 2 does have a really good story and some really good characters in it, and it's pretty much the only vampire game you're going to get for a little while. So if you're looking for some gory action, it's a good place to look.
I always knew you for a sneaking, cowardly opportunist. How unfortunate that my poor aim caused you so much suffering. This time, you will die completely, I promise you.